and talk about. So we're going to walk through a few things on the creating the complex terrain, of course, itself. The reasons behind it, I think we all kind of talked about it. Always using a 3D seed. That's what we should be getting. And then Lindsay's going to walk through the process. She's also going to show on displaying the contours through level symbology, talking about those overrides and how that all works with CAD manual and different things as we go through. Again, this is for how looking at it from a design standpoint, from a roadway standpoint. It's not changing we're not changing what our surveyors are doing, other than, yeah, I know that the change in the complex terrain and the two different, the planimetrics and the terrain, I know are a different thing, but just wanted to kind of go through these things with you all. So I will turn it over to you, Lindsay, to go ahead and talk through complex terrain and those items.
Okay, so just like Jeremy said, we are going to start with the 3D seed and create our complex design file. And then we are going to reference in the survey data that we received, excuse me, which I have already done in my file. So I'm just going to turn them on. And the reason for the complex terrain is because there's no versioning. There's no, for example, in this or on this project, there were a couple of locations where like, hey, we actually need some more survey. So then instead of having all these different versions of every time that comes out, or they go back out, there's a complex terrain, and every time we get more information, it's added to the complex. Drainage, utilities, they don't have to keep referencing and updating a new terrain. They just have this complex terrain that they can always utilize. So 3D seed file referenced in surveys, and then I'm going to go to my terrain, create additional methods, and create complex terrain model. All of my terrain models are in here. I'm going to add them over. In this situation, this was the primary, so that's going to be the main. And then we want to append. If you merge, it's not going to take this as the main one. It's going to take it and kind of do a middle ground. You can, move this as a primary above the other one, or vice versa. Finish. So you can see I now have one terrain. Was pretty quick. And then in my Explorer, once again, I can come in here and turn on contours, turn off contours, turn on triangles, all of these things. Another way is to come in. Where is it? to features display. There's more brake lines. You can turn the boundary off. If there's a hole, you can kind of find it. That's the major ones. And then you can come to level manager and do as I did earlier. You can set hours to 25. As you can see, it's overrode. And then I believe in here, so you can come into calculated features, and there are flow arrows, high points, low points, contours again, major, minor. And you could change to 10 feet, 1 foot. You could also do the exact same brake lines, holes, islands, voids. And I think we can stop recording.
1 second before you stop recording, real quick. Just wanted to add a couple of things on there, Lindsay.
Okay.
I'm just gonna steal the screen from you real quick. As Lindsay had mentioned, like with creating the complex terrain, one of the things that'll happen is at the very beginning, when you do get the terrain from your surveyors, you're going to get an existing terrain. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create a delta out of that terrain as well. That delta being a copy of the existing terrain. Because if I don't already have supplemental information, I don't already have anything, and I just have one terrain, I can't do a complex terrain. I have to have 2 terrains. And the reason why you would do the 2 and then have that and creating that complex terrain is then I can add these 2 in, my primary being the CDOT exist and delta exist. I then have the 1 terrain that I can have. I don't know why it is not showing up. I must have it on a level turned off. Yeah, for some reason it went on default, probably because of my feature definition. So it's just on triangles right now, but it is a complex terrain. And with my complex terrain, since I have that, yeah, I didn't put a feature to it. It's got 2 different terrains in it. So if I want to go in and I want to edit, so that delta is basically a placeholder. All it is a copy of my existing. So right now you can say, okay, I don't have anything. In order to add anything in, I have to have those turned on. So if I got supplemental, like Lindsay was saying, or I now have a combined, a combined surface where someone went in and combined what the existing was and what something else was, I can then come in and say, okay, I got that. Plus I have a little supplemental that I need to add. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to edit my complex terrain. So now I can add both of these in. And when I do that, I can change these around knowing, oh, okay, well, that one's my primary now because that's the combined. I no longer need the existing, the delta existing. I can remove those out. I want to append that supplemental survey that I have all together. I can hit apply. That's going to then update my complex terrain with those elements. Now I have all of those elements included. The whole reason for this is I can do all of this in the background, but the best thing is too, is like Lindsay was showing, she had the name, the feature, all those different things. once I have that information in this complex terrain, I can manipulate anything I want in the background with the complex terrain without any of the rest of the project team being affected by it, because it's still the same identifier. It's still the same attributes that are associated to it. Then it's not going to disconnect my other features such as geometry, corridors, drainage features, things like that. That's a big reason to have that complex terrain in the background, because then I can just move things in and out and update those. And that again goes with different types of formats of survey of if I get a different survey that came from a development and say, okay, yeah, here's a LiDAR survey, or here's a 3MS or an OBJ or a shapefile or something that I need to add in, I can put that into my complex terrain without affecting the rest of the people on the project. So that's just some added information on the background with that. And like Lindsay was showing everyone too, with all of the properties through the terrain file and being able to manipulate that as well. I can go to, so under properties, like she was showing, is manipulating everything. You have to make sure that override symbology is turned on to yes, so that you can manipulate different things. But that was the only thing I wanted to add on there. Anything else, Lindsay, to add, or that I missed through that? Or you think we're good there? You might be on mute.
If you ask me, I lost internet. I just joined.
Oh, good thing we switched over.
Yeah.
I guess I just kind of went through, just kind of hit some of the other foundational pieces on it. But you think anything else we need to cover through complex, through that existing terrain?
Where do you change? There's another way to change the contour distances.
So for the contours, what you can do is, why is it not showing up? Complex terrain. Why is it not showing up? Do I not have? There we go. So if I come under calculated features, I can click contours and pick that. I can change my intervals and different things through here. I can say, here's my major, here's the levels. I can update the levels in here as well. Again, this is all on default because I didn't set my feature at the beginning. I was going a little quick, so don't do what I did with not setting the feature. But here's where you can manipulate some other things as well. There's also some other properties. Can't remember exactly how to get to those now, but there's a manage properties too that I can get to that will pull up some other information that I can manipulate a lot of other stuff. So, was that it? I think that was all we had, right? Okay. So Sahar, I think you can